Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. I'm Lee Camp, the most sentient comedian in America. Welcome. Yes, I am working on Labor Day. That's how devoted I am to you. No, there's just too much going on for me to skip today. It's too important what's been going on. AOC has bravely come out to trash the Green Party and Jill Stein. That's how you know a true patriot. She has bravely stepped up to punch the downtrodden who are actually genuinely anti-war. Well done, AOC. I'll be getting into that, showing that video. The Uhuru trial has started. I'll be getting into that. Massive protest in Israel as several more hostages have been killed. And of course, when we say hostages, apparently that only means hostages held in Gaza. It does not mean the 10,000 held in Israel. Please remember that. Those do not count. I'm going to try something today. I've never tried it before. I'm going to try a fundraiser where if you guys, if some of you want to become members at leecamp.net or on Patreon, that would be amazing. And here's the deal. I'm going to try. Well, I don't know how long I'll last, but I'm going to try to keep going until I get 20 new members at leecamp.net or patreon.com/leecamp, either one. And there's also some things I don't know. I'm hoping the numbers updates live so I can know when people have joined up. It would be great if you can throw into the comments if you joined up. Now, of course, there's a couple of things I can't know about how this is going to work. For one thing, you may just enjoy watching me watching the life slowly drain out of me over the course of a couple of hours, and you may not want to sign up because you want to see that pain and suffering. And I can't account for that. I'm just trying this out, this fundraiser, to see if we can keep this show going and everything. So, you can join up at leecamp.net or at patreon.com/leecamp. You get all kinds of awesome things. I'll detail some of those in a few. But let's start out, though, with I'm going to start out with AOC's. Well, she put up one of her videos, one of her hot takes, and it just says so much about the state of our world right now. It really does. And before we even start, I know the podcast, those of you listening to the podcast can't see this, but why is it that, and she's not the only one, but why is it that her videos, it's always got to be like Blair Witch style, like one eyeball, like it's like a proof of life video. She's melting into a couch and she's got the photo up her nose or something. Why is it even if you're just holding a camera, you can get a better shot than this. This is like someone who's smoked so much pot, they're mentally ill, and then they can't even, there's too many of them in their mental image of themselves, so they can't, which phone am I facing? I'm not saying she did that. I'm just saying what it looks like, and why is that? What does that do for anyone? All right. That being said, I feel like I got the most important point out of the way. That being said, let's go with her hot take.
Y'all, this is a little spicy.
Spicy?
But I have thoughts.
And I'm sorry. I know it sucks to play half a sentence and then stop it. But is it part of the gimmick that she is supposed to sound like a little schoolgirl? And I'm not saying she is that. She is a highly intelligent woman who is in fucking Congress. But I'm laying on a couch. Folks, I got spicy thoughts. I don't understand that. Okay. Is this what we want from our so-called leaders? I got some naughty thoughts on the couch. Anyway, again, important points out of the way.
I feel like I should save this for a live. I'm not coming for people who are thinking about this. I'll talk to you. What I have a problem with is the fact that if you are running for president, you are the de facto leader of your party. And first of all, trust me on this. I run as a third-party candidate in New York. I'm also run as a working families party candidate in addition to running as a Democrat.
No, she does not run as a third-party candidate. She'd like for you to think she did. And for a while, I lived in New York for 12 years. For a while, I thought Working Family Party was a third party. It is not. I don't. I'm sure there's many people at Working Families. I've voted the Working Families ballot line. I think I voted it for several years. But what I didn't realize at the time is that essentially, at the end of the day, Working Families Party, quote unquote, always just says, "Hey, go vote for the Democrat." At the end of the day, that's all it is. I mean, someone who knows more about them can maybe, you can try and prove me wrong. But I have never seen Working Families not at the end of the day go, vote for the Democrats, which is not a third party. That's not, I know it's very confusing. When you say vote for the Democrats, that's not a third party. And basically the Working Families ballot line would always have the Democratic presidential candidate or what have you. So that's not, you're just an appendage, a thing hanging off like a skin tag hanging off the Democratic Party that they haven't bothered to get removed at that point. So I'm not saying they've never done good. I'm not saying no one at Working Families has ever said something positive or stood for an important issue. I'm just saying at the end of the day, they always go vote Democrat. And so when she says, I've run as a third party, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. And then she mentions DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. Again, many of them have done positive and done good. However, at the end of the day, they almost always say, go vote Democrat. Yeah, you little fellas. Oh, you struggling, confused humans out there. Go vote for the Democrats. That's not third party. That's not a third party actually has other human beings that are running not to be Democrats. So it's bullshit where she's like, I'm part of the third party. No, you're not. No, you're really not.
Because trust me, I've been on record that about my criticisms of a two-party system. So this is not about that. But
is she in a building that is leaning to the side? Is that like, is there a gravitational issue? What? Okay.
You are the leader of your party. And if you run for years and years and years and years and years in a row, and your party has not grown, and you don't add city council seats, and you don't add down ballot candidates, and you don't add state electeds, that's bad leadership.
Okay, so let's get into some of this. Now, some of what she's saying is she's putting it all on Jill Stein, whereas Jill Stein is not the entirety of the Green Party, so it's not fair to be like, it's all Jill Stein's fault. There are debates to be had inside the Green Party about why they haven't achieved more at lower levels, and I think those debates are fine to have them inside the Green Party. But first of all, you have to acknowledge that I'd say 97% of the reason the Green Party hasn't achieved more, doesn't have more people in office, doesn't have anyone in Congress, those type of things, is because of the system that AOC represents, the two-party, which is really one-party system that she represents. She is now the face of, she's talking about Jill Stein's the face of the Green Party. AOC has become one of about four faces of the Democratic Party. There aren't that many that you could name. There aren't that many that I could name, honestly, because I largely think that they are just one blob that represents corporate America. But so she is one of the faces of the Democratic Party. She represents now, whether she did the first day she was elected years ago or not, but now she represents the system that completely obliterates the ability of third parties to get even have a chance. You've got the corporate media that completely blocks them out. In the rare, phenomenally rare moment that mainstream corporate media was willing to have on Jill Stein, it's in order to lambast her and try and destroy her. That is when mainstream media will have her on, which is very rare. Just to even allow her to say anything is very rare. But so you've got the media, you've got the fact that guess what? The two candidates that spend the most on their race, which is usually Democrats and Republicans, isn't it? The two candidates that spend the most on their race win the election 100% of the time federally. So to say, well, why aren't they winning is just so epically disingenuous. Just so And here's the thing. She's smart enough to know this. She's not a moron. She knows this. And so she's being disingenuous. She's not just dumb. She's being disingenuous. She knows the Green Party has been the fights against these things on a daily basis and can't get a leg up against them. They're sued into oblivion by the main parties. Jill Stein is still facing all kinds of lawsuits from her last run for president. Now, if you have issues with the fact that Jill Stein has run multiple times and that she's won the primaries inside the Green Party and ends up becoming the nominee, if you have issues with that, then fine. Go become a part of the Green Party and get your voice heard and debate about how best, who best to represent the Green Party in various elections. Fine, go do it. But to be a part of the corporate war criminal soaked in blood genocide party, meaning both Republicans and Democrats, when I say party, single party, to be part of that and go, this is just wrong what the Green Party's doing is so epically repulsive. But at least she's showing us a shot up her nose. So at least, you know, you say what you will about the points she's making. At least you can see what's up her nose recently. All right, let's keep going for one more minute. I can't believe there's another minute of this.
And that to me is what's upsetting. Because if you have been your party's nominee for 12 years in a row, 4 years ago and 4 years before that and 4 years before that, and you cannot grow your movement pretty much at all and can't pursue any successful strategy, and all you do is
like, she knows that Jill Stein was arrested for trying to attend the debates, for trying to be a part of the presidential debate when she was on 85% of the ballots across the country. This is 2012. I performed on a fundraiser for her the night before that she went with Sherry Honkala, her vice presidential candidate, to the presidential debate with Obama and Romney, I believe. And it was, I believe it was at Hofstra University, but she tried to attend and they arrested her for trying to attend, for trying to be a part of the debate. It wasn't like she ran up on the stage with knives in hand. She just tried to go in the door and they arrested her and locked her, chained her to a chair, and Sherry Honkala, chained her to a chair in a basement of a police station or some police facility for 8 hours and then released her into the night without her phone. And like, AOC's got to know this. Like, it's not like, oh, the Green Party's just been working so hard and they never achieve anything. Look at what they're up against. Look at the amount of money, the amount of power, the amount of wealth, the amount of leverage that is just wielded against them is just epic. And AOC's got to know this. She's just not that dumb. I'm sorry to think she could possibly be that dumb. Anyway, so, and again, this is not to say you can't, if you're a member of the Green Party and you have complaints or questions as to why they don't spend more time on, let's say, certain issues in a city by city basis. And, you know, if you're, why do they focus more on elections and not more on this or that? Fine. Go have those debates inside the Green Party. But to do what AOC is doing right here on this sideways on this couch because she doesn't know how to hold up a phone or something it's just so pathetic. So pathetic.
Is show up once every 4 years to speak to people who are justifiably pissed off, but you're just showing up once every 4 years to do that?
Green Party does not show up once every 4 years. Green Party has done and shown up many other times. Look at Matthew Ho, ran for office, ran for Senate as a Green Party candidate in I believe North Carolina or South Carolina. I think it was North Carolina. And you know, he's an incredible human being, and he got all the signatures he needed, and then the Democrat run city council or whatever, not city council, whatever the legislative body is, said, oh, no, your signatures don't count, and they threw him off the ballot. Now, he then brought them to court, and in this case, unlike a lot of other cases, in this case, he got back on the ballot. But he had to spend most of his time and money trying to fight that, which is the goal. It's you just sue them into oblivion. You make it incredibly difficult to do anything, run or anything else. Hey, looks like we got one person so far joined up over at Patreon. Thank you for joining up over there, patreon.com/Lee Camp. And like I said, this is a fundraiser today. I'm going to keep going until I get 20 new members, or I just pass out and hit my head on the desk. That may very well be how this ends. And if you're looking forward to that, then good on you. Anyway, let's see. Does she keep talking here?
You're not serious. You're not.
Everything she's saying is not serious. She is the definition of not serious.
To me, it does not read as authentic.
Does this read as authentic? To literally be in a party that is pro-war, that is dropping bombs on children on a daily basis, that is pro-big oil. Kamala Harris says she loves fracking. That is pro-environmental destruction. That is pro-capitalist destruction. That is pro-big pharma, pro-big health insurance, pro-gutting Americans, pro-prison state, which Joe Biden doubled the size of. To be a part of that party, and then to look at the party, which, say what you will about the Green Party, they do stand by these ideals. Look at the party that is anti-war, that is anti-prison state, that is anti-environmental destruction, that came up with the Green New Deal before it was gutted by the Democrats. To look at that party and go, they're not serious or authentic. Really? Really, AOC? Really?
It reads as predatory.
Predatory.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying it. Because as a person, I endorse Working Families Party candidates. I endorse DSA candidates. I take risks, and I endorse even in primaries against Democrats when it's merited. What does this person do?
By the way, speaking of growing things, she has failed to grow the squad, hasn't she? She has failed. And in fact, she talks about, I take risks and I endorse these things. She actually didn't even endorse Cori Bush. She did the first time around and then refused to endorse her the second time around. I know people who were connected to her, like AOC's staff in the early days, like before she'd even won. So she's running her first election. And they were connected to her. And then the moment she got into office, she cut all ties with them, like wouldn't respond to text or anything. So this is a person who has cut all ties with the actual grassroots. She gave an interview in a DSA magazine saying that she's no longer a frontlines activist because she's matured, basically being an actual activist, being on the grassroots, being in the front lines, being in the street. All of that is immature. And the mature thing is to make backroom deals where you're sitting there with billionaires saying, well, what do I get if I give you this? And what do you get if I give you that? Like, that's the mature thing to do, apparently, according to AOC. And, many have had the debate as to whether AOC has been like this the whole time and people were just kind of tricked, or whether she has changed. I think it's quite possible that she has not always been like this, that she has changed. That first day that she got into office and she was part of a protest outside Nancy Pelosi's office, which I think if she'd been like this the whole time, that would not have happened. Now, of course, she never does that anymore. She's not going to be part of a protest against Congress people, especially powerful Congress people, because she's part of the system now. She's been captured. Again, I don't know for sure whether she's always been like this or not, but I do know that I heard from someone that, what were they? They were at a protest. I don't know what protest it was. This was, I think, when she was running for Congress the first time. So she wasn't a superstar yet. Some people knew her, but she was kind of an underdog thing. And they ran into her, and this was when Redacted Tonight was on the air. And she said, oh, you're with the same network as Redacted Tonight. I love Redacted Tonight. And I don't think, if she were like this the whole time, I don't think she would have said that. But clearly, whether she was or not, this is who she is now. Is this taking shots at the left, taking shots at those who do not want to be part of genocide, who do not want to be part of bombs raining down on children. Let's punch down at them. Those of us who actually have a moral core, let's really attack them. That's putting yourself in a good place, AOC. Putting yourself in a good place. But anyway, that's AOC for you. Her spicy takes. It's spicy. And I'm laying on a couch for Lord knows what reason. It's a spicy take. Okay. I want to now go to the trial. I got a bunch of videos coming up. I got some of Bill Maher's garbage I'm going to tear apart in a minute. I may actually get to a few minutes of tearing apart Donald Trump. I don't do that as much, as you guys know, because it's just too easy. Honestly, it's like it's like being like, let me show this neo-Nazi and explain why he's wrong. I'm not saying Trump's a neo-Nazi, but it's low-hanging fruit to try and tear apart Donald Trump. So I don't often play clips of him. It's just too stupid. But thank you, Kenman, for the donation, for supporting the show. But anyway, I'm probably going to get to that. And I also want to get to a little bit of the interview with Sarah Wilkinson or Wilkins. Yeah, Wilkinson. Sarah Wilkinson, the pro-Palestine protester, journalist, advocate who has been arrested in the UK and is having her life torn apart. I want to get to that in just a moment. But yeah, this is a fundraiser episode. I've never tried this before. I'm going to try. I'm going to do my best, although I don't know how long. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have tried to analyze and speak and produce a show all on the fly for an hour and a half, 2 hours, but it is ridiculously exhausting. So we'll see how long I make it. If you guys choose not to sign up or support the show, I don't know. I might make it. Might even make it to 2 hours. Who knows? But please do, if you feel like supporting the show, join up at leecamp.net, which will forward you to my locals page. And then you have to scroll down to become a subscriber. If you just click become a member, that's the free version, which is not what I'm talking about. So scroll down to become a subscriber. And you can also sign up at patreon.com/LeeCamp. We've already had one sign up at Patreon. So I guess we're just at one for the moment. But anyway, the nice thing is I'm bringing the important news anyway. So even if this doesn't work, even if nobody gives a shit, and the whole idea of gaining new supporters doesn't work, at least I'm bringing you important news. So, okay. And just a last thing on the AOC thing. To me, it feels like either you're coming from a place of helping people and caring for people, or you're coming from a place of hatred and pushing people down. And to support a party that is absolutely sending missiles every 30 seconds to rain down on children, and by the way, there's more on Israel coming up as well. If that's that's where you're coming from, then that's a disgusting place for your ideas to stem from. And it's like, or like the topic of immigration. It's like, we can have some discussion on how you want immigration to work or whatever. But if you're coming from a place of just, fuck those other people, I hate them, those people, they're coming after me, that's just a place of hate. That's all that is. And so I think a lot of this and a lot of what I talk about has to do with coming from a place of caring and giving a shit about others and wanting peace and equality for all. And you say something like that. I just saw it the other day. You say so. You even bring up the idea of positivity for all, equality for all, peace. And, just to give one example, I saw an interview with Candace Owens where she goes, that the idea of benefiting all is Marxist. It's Marxism. That's just a thing they yell to scare everybody away. Marxism. It's all bullshit. It's like, no, you can just care for people. You can just want people to do well. And honestly, the other thing is, of course, that's coming from a millionaire. Like, these are multi-millionaires, most of these people. And for them to be like, we can't help people. I mean, to see Peter Thiel the other day, I just played a clip of him with Joe Rogan saying that if he could, fix one thing on day one, if he were emperor of the world, what would it be? And it was like, his answer was crush Social Security. It's like, wow, that level of sociopathy is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. I don't know how I got on that tangent, but so you guys might remember the Uhuru 3, the Uhuru movement. They are facing a trial right now. I believe it just started today down in Florida. I interviewed over a year ago. I interviewed the chairman of the Uhuru movement, Yeshitela, and they're going at, this is in the U.S. They're going after him and several members of his movement, of his group, the African Socialist People's something. And I'm terrible. Like, why can I not remember the name? And things that I like when it's a bunch of words and I'm like, okay, it's the word, the African People Socialists. Yeah, got it. For some reason I don't. That I can't remember. Uhuru I can remember because that's unusual. Whereas it's kind of like when someone says, their name is Rob. I can't remember it. Sorry to all the Robs out there. If there's any Robs watching, I still love you. But okay, here's this 1 minute local news mentioning it.
This afternoon, the so-called Uhuru 3 making a public statement.
By the way, I feel like whenever you say so-called, you're trying to get people to hate them. Like, I mean, I guess by definition, they are so-called in that some people call them the Uhuru 3 because 3 of them are facing charges. But it's just like when you throw, it's kind of like AKA. Anytime you throw an AKA, you're priming people to hate these people. Like, if you're like, Rob, AKA Slippery Pete. Boy, I'm going after Rob hard right now. But whenever you throw an AKA, it's like, I'm trying to make you hate these people. So the so-called Uhuru 3. Also, like, they came up with that term. No, that's what the news has been calling them. So they mention it now. So I'm like, all right.
And just days before. This afternoon, the so-called Uhuru 3 making a public statement just days before their federal trial is set to begin. African People's Socialist Party Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville are accused of acting as agents of the Russian government, the FBI arresting them after a raid at the Uhuru house.
And so nothing he said is that wrong, but you can tell by how you depict things. They go, they're working for the Russian government, but it's freedom of speech. They weren't working for the Russian government. They were speaking their mind, the same beliefs that Yeshitela and many of the others have had for generations. I mean, he's not a young man. He was like marching with Martin Luther King. All right. This guy has had the same beliefs for years and years. And now they're coming after him. But no, he was just sitting around on his couch until Russia contacted him and told him to say the same thing he's been saying for decades. That's how that worked. That's exactly how that worked. But also you can tell by how they're depicting it, like the FBI raid, you could also show the Uhuru 3 or the Uhuru movement, like being part of the community. You could show them like helping people out because that's a lot of what they do. You could like show him speaking. Instead, they're showing the FBI raid because that makes them look dangerous. A lot of people in this world, unfortunately, I know you guys watching right now are not of this group, but a lot of people in the world just think anything FBI does is right and just. And so therefore, if FBI raided them, they must be bad guys. But when I interviewed him on the show, he detailed the FBI raid, which guess what? If they had, and this is going to come up again in a few minutes, if the FBI had just called him and said, hey, we have ridiculously false charges we'd like for you to come in and talk to us about, he would have come in and talked to them because people don't generally like to have their doors smashed in and guns pointed at them. So And this is the same with Scott Ritter. It's the same with so many of these people. It's like they want to do this abusive technique of raiding people's houses. The way Chairman Yeshitela describes it, it was early in the morning. I think he said 7 or 8 a.m. or something. They're having cereal. They're in their bathrobes. And like 12 FBI agents with guns pointed come running in the house. And it's just like horrifying for him and his wife and all. And the other thing is, we know that these maniacs with guns often shoot people that sometimes when they go to help them. Sometimes you call the cops, right? This just happened in Texas. You call the cops and they show up and shoot you. So this is incredibly dangerous to send a bunch of FBI agents running into a house. And that's what they did.
In St. Pete 2 years ago, prosecutors say they promoted Russian propaganda and illegally influenced local elections. They are denying the charges, saying the government is violating their right to free speech.
Everything they accuse the Uhuru 3 of doing is speech constitutionally protected by the First Amendment. The Uhuru 3 case is being used by the United States government to establish a dangerous precedent for the silencing of political expression.
I'm glad they played that tape, and he's absolutely right. Everything they're being accused of is speech. Everything they're being accused of is you didn't talk the way we had hoped for you to talk. And here's something else. Whether they get off or don't get off, this was brought on them. This raid was brought within like days. I don't remember whether it was like 3 days or 10 days, but within days of when the FBI also raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago place, his little dungeon of 50 Shades of Grey or whatever he's got going on there. They raided Mar-a-Lago and found that he had all these classified documents, right? Now, what's the connection there? I think the connection is that the U.S. government doesn't like the Uhuru movement. They don't like that they point out all the harms of the U.S. empire, of course. However, that's been going on for years and years, and they've never gone after them for speech like they are now. I think they just wanted to go, oh, well, yes, we're going after Trump, but we're also getting these leftists over here, or whatever they want to call them. It just seems, the timing seems rather weird for it to be within days of attacking or whatever, going in after Donald Trump. Now, of course, with Donald Trump, he was indeed holding classified documents. That's been proven. Apparently, Biden had some classified documents as well, because the U.S. government classifies everything. So basically, if these presidents or presidential candidates have anything, have any paperwork, it's almost always classified. It always makes it illegal. But anyway, that aside, that's very different from speech. That's very different from what Chairman Yeshitela and the others have been saying. So anyway, I hope this trial is, I hope they're able to show that this is insane and it is against everything the U.S. claims to stand for. Now, of course, the U.S. claims to stand for a lot of things we don't. We're the land of the free in the largest prison state in the world. Isn't that interesting? That's kind of amazing how we pulled that off. The land of the free in the largest prison state in the world. Here is the Uhuru website if you want to keep up with that. Or I don't know if, they have a way to donate probably to their legal representation. But it's handsoffyahuru.org, handsoffyahuru.org. And I might be interviewing someone from their group soon, but they also are dealing with the trial. So I'm not going to be surprised if they don't have the time to come on my show right now. But yeah, so that's what's going on here in the land of the free. Let's see. We're still at one person having joined up, Guess you guys love me less than I thought you did. Oh, well. Let's see. Where's locals? It's also possible that locals does not update like instantly. So I am not certain that I would know if you joined up or not in the moment. But if anybody did join up, maybe you can throw it in the chat. But Yeah, so I'm hoping you guys will join up at leecamp.net. It is a whopping 38 cents an episode. That's $6 a month. And yes, you could join up right now for $6 a month, get all the free shit that comes along with it, and then cancel in a month. It'd be kind of not cool, but you could do it. You could still do it. So it would cost you a whopping $6. And anyway, that's at leecamp.net. Scroll down to become a subscriber, and then you'll get both my ebooks, Dangerous Ideas and Bullet Points and Punchlines. You will get my comedy special, Laughing All the Way to the Shitstorm, which is not available anywhere else. My Zoom comedy special, Laughing All the Way to the Shitstorm. You will get special segments often, and you'll get to be part of the Locals community at the Locals page, which again, leecamp.net, scroll down and become a subscriber. At the Locals page, you can post as well. It's not just me. Unlike Patreon, it's not just me posting. So you can post. There's an awesome community there of amazing people. So you can join up there and watch the live streams there. You can get extra segments. I rarely ever hear complaints about Locals. People seem to really enjoy it. So I hope you will consider doing that. And we will see. If I'm hoping to get 20 members, and I'm gonna keep live streaming until I keel over. If that doesn't happen, and if you'd prefer to sign up at Patreon, that's patreon.com/LeeCamp. If you'd prefer to do that. Army Boy is asking about archives of my RT show. So of Redacted Tonight. So they kind of exist on Odyssey, ODYSEE. There are many. Thank you, Firepower, for joining. Firepower's over on Locals, but you also joined up on Patreon. You're too kind, Firepower. You're killing it. Love you. So there's some on ODYSEE.com, Odyssey. You can look there for Redacted Tonight. I technically still have access to the back end of YouTube, the banned YouTube channel for Redacted Tonight. So at the moment, and I can get in there. I can't, there's no way I can publish any of it. Michael says he signed up on Patreon. Michael, you may be the one person I've seen sign up on Patreon. It says that one person has signed up, so maybe you're the one. And thank you for doing that. I can't thank you enough. But yeah, someone else is asking me accepting crypto. I do have a Bitcoin address. I just have to look it up and post it somewhere. I don't know. Sorry, I'm lazy on that. But anyway, I am considering reposting Redacted Tonight somewhere else, like some of the segments, maybe the ones that don't age much. But that would be a huge undertaking. But it would also, the problem is I can't do it on my current YouTube page because they quite likely would ban that page for posting Redacted Tonight. So maybe I could do it over on Rumble. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. If you guys really want it, because, a lot of the segments have kind of aged. They may be funny, but they're aged, if it's about Obama or Trump in office or whatever. But okay, I'm going to move on. Let's get going. We're dilly-dallying too much. All right, so this is unfortunately another tough segment to hear, but I wanted to bring you an update on this activist in the UK, Sarah Wilkinson, pro-Palestine, does amazing pro-Palestine work. And I'm going to show some of the clips of her describing what she's facing in the UK. Now, I brought you an interview with Richard Medhurst, another great journalist he was arrested at Heathrow Airport for his journalism, for speaking out in defense of Palestine. This is also in the UK. And he was held for 12 hours. This is far more than it used to be. They had 5 hours if they weren't going to bring charges. But now, under these new terrorism statutes, they're claiming Richard Medhurst's words are terrorism. And they're doing the same to Sarah Wilkinson. And she's a journalist. She's also an activist in defense of Palestine. And much of what she describes, I'm going to let her describe some of it, but She was arrested. They raided her house. They forced her son to the floor or against the wall. They destroyed her house, just ripped through it, took all of her devices, but even things that didn't even seem to be devices, like wires and stuff. She said when she came back, they kept her in prison for, I think, 24 hours or something. She said when she came back, there were several holes in the wall that they had puttied over, which she assumes are some sort of bugs in her house, because why would they do that? They had destroyed her house, but they also refused to give her medication while she was in confinement. She has Crohn's disease, meaning she can't eat without medication, and they refused to give it to her. But also, they did something that you guys are familiar with, whether you know it or not, which is to handcuff someone's hands together, then put them in the back of a police van and drive chaotically through the streets so that they are thrown against the wall, thrown on the floor. The police call it a rough ride, and it is what killed Freddie Gray here in Baltimore. Remember Freddie Gray? It is what... Thank you, Eamon, for joining up on Patreon. Yes! Love you, buddy. Thank you for the solidarity and the help, and thank you, Vera, for the donation. Solidarity. Let's see if Patreon does update. Yeah, see, Patreon might not be updating either. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, thank you so much, Eamon and Vera, for the donations. But that's how they killed Freddie Gray, was to tie his hands behind his back, handcuff his hands behind his back, and then drive around chaotically, so much so that he was thrown into the walls and thrown into the floor and died. And they did the same to her. She did not die, but it's the cops call it a rough ride, and it's a way of assaulting someone without assaulting them. She also said the trip to the prison, if you look it up on like Google Maps, says it's a 45-minute drive, and it took them 2 hours, meaning they were driving around in circles just to throw her against the walls. But here she is in a recent interview.
Sum up, we don't know, but there's items that I know that I've never owned, but they also...
She's talking about the list they made of items that they took from her house. And she said some of the items on the list she's never owned, which raises a real possibility that they're planting stuff on her to look worse.
Also took money. It's not on the list. They took my passport. That's not on the list. So I've now got to hand in my passport, but I can't because they've actually taken it, but they haven't declared that they've taken it, which will be an entrapment. I will probably get arrested for not producing my passport, but they have actually taken it. But they also took about £200 worth of...
So this is a way of making sure that they get to arrest her for more than just the speech that they're claiming as terrorism. They have stolen her passport, and yet they tell her she has a week to turn in her passport. And she says, well, you've stolen it, but you didn't put it down on the list. You just took it. And so they're going to say, no, that's not true. And now we're going to arrest you for not turning in your passport.
Cash out of my wallet. And then they scattered my mother's ashes all over the attic. I had a horrendous day yesterday, literally scraping my mother's ashes out of old picture frames. They were everywhere. I've never had to do anything so horrendous as that before.
So that's some of her treatment. I told you about some more of it, the assaulting her via the police van and not giving her medication for Crohn's disease. But now I want to jump to her describing, what she feels the impact of this is.
Everybody and nobody is reporting on it, so you'll find out retroactively.
Sorry.
What's happened in Gaza when it's all finished and over, but because we're reporting on it on a daily, on a daily basis, that is what the government doesn't want. It doesn't want people to know what's happening to the people of Gaza. How many deaths a day? How many children are being massacred and piled up into plastic bags? It doesn't want people to know this. And so the only way they can do this is by silencing the journalists and the people that broadcast the news. They are facilitating the genocide to the point that they can't allow people to know the facts and the details and the death toll and the circumstances around some of these very, very horrific school massacres that the Israeli regime has been committing. They don't want that to be on social media. But they're not banning the social media users so much. What they're doing is taking away their ability to talk about Palestine.
Yeah, she's right. Thank you, Musa, for the donation. Solidarity. She's talking about how they're trying to create a chilling effect. They're going after kind of the biggest journalists on these topics that are located in the UK. Richard Medhurst was probably one of the better known on social media, on YouTube, etc. And they're going after them first in order to create a kind of chilling effect where people are afraid to speak out for Palestine, afraid to speak out about the atrocities, afraid to speak out about the 40.5 thousand people that have been murdered by Israel. If you aren't counting the people that have died, all the Gazans that have died from famine and starvation. But she says, they aren't banning them outright. Well, she's largely right. Most people are not banned for speaking out about Palestine, but some are, like myself. I mean, I was banned on TikTok clearly for what I was saying about Israel. And I'd only been using TikTok for about 2 months. And some of the videos had done quite well. And then they banned me and they didn't tell me why. And they didn't give me a right to appeal and nothing, just gone. And it's clearly because of I was reporting the truth about Israel. Okay, so someone else just joined on local. So I guess these numbers don't update like live. So it seems that we have at least 4 or 5 people have just signed up. So thank you all for doing that. It's leecamp.net and patreon.com/leecamp. Thank you for becoming members. I'm trying to get 20 new members in order to before I stop doing this live stream. So, if I'm here all night with you, then yeah, that's going to suck for you. You're not going to be able to leave. But anyway, I don't know if Sarah Wilkinson has a way to donate to her legal defense or anything yet. I'll try to keep bringing you up. Sorry, I'll try and keep bringing it up, but it's just, it's horrifying what they're doing. And let's see, did I replay the part where she says she has been helping create wells in Gaza?
And so it instills fear in anybody that is basically waving a Palestinian flag. You can't say things like, you can't support the resistance. You can't support Palestinians in any other way, which, I'm part of the Rebuild Gaza charity. So we're getting wells dug in Gaza to provide clean water. They wanted to know the location of these Palestinian people that we were working with. And you see, once they have the location, then the Israelis can bomb them directly. So
to me, that's one of the most key points is she's working with Palestinians on the ground in Gaza to build wells, to try and get water to people, clean water to people in Gaza. Clean water, dirty water is one of the number one killers of people in Gaza and people around the world. So Israel's hope is to destroy all clean water, and therefore it will create, it'll supercharge their genocide without them even having to fire bullets. They can just destroy all the clean water. And so, as she said, they wanted the names of who she's working with to create these wells. She says, for all she knows, those names, if she gave them up, would then be targeted by Israel. I think they likely would be. And so, to me, this is one of the key reasons she was probably arrested, is because she is trying to make it possible for Gazans to live, along with being a journalist. And since she said that, I thought this is an important point, that Israel has a water supply blockade in Gaza. They have destroyed many of the wells, if not most of them. This is video of children in northern Gaza celebrating the arrival of rain because it means clean water. And Israel even controls the collection of rainwater throughout most of the West Bank, and rainwater harvesting cisterns owned by Palestinian communities are often destroyed by the Israeli army and illegal settlers. So they control water collection and they stop people from collecting water in Gaza. And by coincidence, you have someone in Britain who's working with an organization that creates wells in Gaza. And she's just been arrested under terrorism charges. So interesting coincidence that Israel is trying to stop all water in Gaza. And at the same time, one of the people in the UK that's helping get them water has just been arrested for terrorism. Interesting coincidence there. But there are massive protests going on right now in Israel. Let's bring a little good news, right? There's a little good news here. For one thing, it's raining in Gaza, apparently. But there are massive protests in Israel. As you probably saw in the mainstream media, 6 more Israeli hostages were found dead. And I say found dead intentionally because they were found dead. Whereas when Israel bombs people, you don't have to say found dead. You can say were bombed. And so 6 more hostages found dead in Gaza. And this has created large-scale protests in Israel. Why? Because the Israeli people, even though many of them, even though like 80, 90% are not anti-war and say, oh, finish the job and all that garbage, they hate Netanyahu because they know there could be a ceasefire and they know the hostages could be saved. And most of them despise Netanyahu. And here's Wyatt Reed reporting tens of thousands protest in Tel Aviv to demand Netanyahu allow a prisoner exchange ceasefire. Israeli forces are responding with stun grenades. Israel has been at war with its neighbors since its inception. Now it appears it may go to war with itself. But these protests, I'm going to show another video of them in a second, but have been pretty massive in Israel, demanding a ceasefire because they know it's their own government that's not letting a ceasefire. When I said, I guess I kind of didn't phrase it correctly. 90% of them do not say finish the job, meaning keep bombing. But 90% of them do not actually care about Palestinians. They want a ceasefire because they want the hostages freed. And they know that Netanyahu is actually endangering them and doesn't care about the hostages at all. This video shows the cops shooting stun grenades and gas and everything else. Here's another video showing the size of these protests. Truly massive. Definitely tens of thousands. I don't know if it's more than that, but just an incredible amount of people protesting right now in Israel. And I thought also this next quote I'm going to show you has been making the rounds, even though it's from several months ago, but making the rounds on social media about how little of this catastrophe genocide has been necessary. This is in the Times of Israel, which is a pro-Israel newspaper in Israel. And they said several months ago, we later found out that Hamas had offered on October 9th or 10th to release all the civilian hostages in exchange for the IDF not entering the Gaza Strip, but the government rejected the offer. So by the 9th or 10th, meaning 1 to 2 days after October 7th, or 3 days, but October 7th actually lasted into October 8th, but which is a weird, you guys know what I mean. October 7th can't last into October 7th. The event lasted into October. The day didn't last. Okay, you get it. But basically 2 to 3 days after October 7th, Hamas was already saying, if you don't come into the Gaza Strip, we'll give you all the hostages. And Israel said no. The government rejected the offer. Why? Why, folks? Because Israel wanted this to happen. Israel largely allowed this to happen. And Israel wanted to commit genocide. So, for those of you who don't know, it has even been admitted by the New York Times, which is a pro-Israel liberal rag. Even the New York Times has put out articles about how Israel knew this was going to happen as much as a year ago. They had the entire plans. They literally had, I think it was like a 70-page blueprint of everything that Hamas was going to do. And they saw them uploading videos of their glider training on like Instagram. Like, Israel knew exactly. This is from the New York Times. This is not me. This is not, I'm not just quoting some loony out there. This is the pro-Israel New York Times has said that they knew about this for a year. For a year. And so it's all that more kind of meaningful when Netanyahu, 12 days before October 7th, got in front of the UN, held up a map of the Middle East that had the West Bank and Gaza erased. So Netanyahu and the Israeli ruling elite, by the way, Netanyahu is American, in case you guys don't know. I mean, essentially. He used to have a Polish last name. He grew up in a town in Pennsylvania. He went to MIT. And then he worked at Boston Consulting, and now he runs Israel. But no, Israel is just a completely separate country. There's no connection at all. Zavi Theta, am I pronouncing that right? Thank you for signing up on Patreon. Yeah, you guys are, it's weird. Patreon is not updating the number of subscribers, but it's updating the amount of membership, the monetary amount, which I can't actually know. Oh, wait, here's notifications. Okay. I can see it here. Well, no, that's actually not the number that other people have said. Oh, wait, here it is. 7 people have joined. All right. Yeah. Finally found it. But for some odd reason, it's not updating the actual number of paid subscribers, but it does give me a notification saying 7 new people have joined. Thank you, all of you who have joined up at patreon.com/Lee Camp or joined up at leecamp.net. Let's see if Lee Camp, that's weird. Leecamp.net won't, it's not updating at all. Oh, now it just did. It finally did. 4 more over there. So, all right, we are at 10. No, wait, 11. Wow, I can't do 7 plus 4. That's how, look, we've only been going an hour and I can't do 7 plus 4. That's how much this destroys the brain. We're at 11. All right, out of 20. We can get there. Thank you guys for joining up. You're the best, and you make this show possible. And for those of you joining late, you might not have heard me say this. I am going to keep live streaming until we get 20 new subscribers, but we're already at 11. So thank you for doing that. You guys are awesome, and I love you, and you make this show possible. Thank you, Omar, for the donation. Solidarity. Okay, so this is also from Doctors Without Borders. By the way, coming up, I'm going to show Bill Maher garbage. I'm going to show Donald Trump garbage. Yeah, that's coming up very soon. So here's Doctors Without Borders, a highly reputable organization. And they say the scale and intensity of Israel's 4-day incursion in Jenin is very alarming. Israeli forces keep obstructing access to health facilities, blocking and even targeting ambulances, delaying people's access to care. In the MSF, as Doctors Without Borders, supported Khalil Suleiman Hospital, which has been surrounded by the Israeli forces since the start of the incursion. Electricity and water supplies are compromised. The medical team has been forced to halt dialysis operations, key to the treatment of kidney failure. In another one, which Israel has surrounded, After the Israeli forces withdrew, our team saw the destruction in the camps and heard disturbing reports from MSF, Doctors Without Borders, trained volunteers who were beaten and interrogated by Israeli authorities. Israel must adhere to its obligations as an occupying power in the West Bank, including access to medical care. Hospitals, ambulances, and the medical humanitarian mission must be respected and protected. That's from Doctors Without Borders. They just think about how far removed from that statement the Democrats are. Of course, the Republicans, but the Republicans, you don't expect anything else. But with the Democrats, people act like they still kind of stand for human beings or, want to help people or be with the people or things like that, Okay, let's shift gears here for a moment, and I'm actually going to talk for a second about why voting matters. I've often said that basically voting for the presidential election, it doesn't matter in a multitude of ways. The two parties are one party, etc. But on top of that, it's actually a few 100,000 people in swing states? Because you have to have swing states and some swing states end up not being close when the election day comes. So some of them stop being swing states. But so let's say you've got 7 swing states. Let's say on election day that you only end up with 5 or 4 of them that are still swing state, actually really close. Okay, so now you're down to 5 states. And then in those states, you actually have swing districts that are like the pivotal districts. If this district got flipped, then that. And so you're down at the end of the day on that election night when we hear Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, and everybody's waving their flags and everything. It's going to come down to a few 100,000 people. A few 100,000 people in tiny areas are going to decide which of the one party, which face of the one party will be in the presidency. That shit aside, here's why you should vote. I'm not talking about for presidency. I'm talking about other aspects that are on the ballot. And there's often ballot initiatives. Some states' ballot initiatives actually matter. In other ones, it's just a ruse. I lived in D.C. for many years, and there was a big fight one year during election year over whether to pay tipped workers $15 an hour because they get their tipped workers, and I used to be one of those, get like the minimum wage is like $2.50 still, $2.50 or something. And keep in mind, a lot of tipped workers do not make a lot in tips. I had days when I was waiting tables where an entire lunch shift, so like including the, pre and post work and everything, you're talking 5-6 hours, I made $12. So just because you're tipped does not mean you're making loads in tips. But anyway, there was a big fight over whether to pay the minimum wage, and you had these restaurant chains paying millions to fight against minimum wage for tipped workers, and the minimum wage, raising the minimum wage for tipped workers, actually won the ballot initiative. So like, we won, yay! Tipped workers get minimum wage. All right, awesome. But in DC, ballot initiatives don't mean anything. They're a recommendation to like DC City Hall or whatever. And at the end of the day, they didn't change it anyway. So now other states are different. Other states' ballot initiatives have more power. That being said, here are 10 states where abortion rights will be on the ballot this fall. And even if you don't vote for presidency or you vote for Jill Stein or something, you're not voting for the 2 shit show candidates. You, in many states, may still get to vote about abortion rights. So that's not a small thing for many people. Voters in Arizona and Nevada, Colorado, Maryland, New York, Florida, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, and South Dakota will have the ability to directly decide the future of abortion access this fall. Among the organizers who submitted signatures to qualify in abortion rights, amendment for this year's ballot. Only those in Arkansas fell short. So this could make a big difference to a lot of lives. And this doesn't mean, in various areas, this doesn't mean the Democrats haven't been garbage on this. Like federally, the Democrats could have codified abortion rights for years, and they never did because they wanted it as a wedge issue. So I don't know. It depends on your state as to whether Democrats have been good on abortion rights or not. But that aside, there are a lot of states where you'll have a chance to make a difference about abortion right, about a woman's right to choose. And I know this is a hack joke. I know this has been said by many comedians, so I'm not claiming it as my own. But it is true. It is so true that if men were the ones who gave birth, abortions would be available at 7-Eleven, okay? They would be available at the post office. They would be available at the auto mechanic. There's no way that if this was not reversed, if the roles weren't reversed, that this wouldn't even be a debate. But anyway, just wanted to let you guys know, if you want me to read those states one more time in case you're in one of them. 10 states: Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. Oh, wait, I'm saying Nevada wrong, aren't I? Wait, Nevada? I don't know. Here's the thing is I just know I get it wrong. So now it's just in my head. However you say it is wrong. So even if I were to say it right in my head, I'd go, however you say it is wrong. I think, what do they prefer? Nevada? And I can't wait for someone in the comments to try and spell it the way you're supposed to say it. Anyway. Colorado, Maryland, New York, Florida, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, and South Dakota. That's all the places that abortion rights are going to be on the ballot. Okay, so I don't have to talk every second. Let's get to some of these interviews I want to tear apart. For those of you joining late, I am hoping to get 20 new members by the time, before I pass out. I'm going to keep going until I get those members. And we are at, let's see if it's updating. Members at leecamp.net or at patreon.com/leecamp. And when you sign up, you get all kinds of cool stuff. Now it appears the number of signups is the same as it was, I think. So maybe we're still at 11. So, but you get my ebooks for free. You get my comedy special, Laughing All the Way to the Shitstorm. You get special bonus segments. So hope you'll sign up. And thank you, Underhill, for gifting a YouTube membership, which I'm not counting towards my goal of 20, because YouTube memberships they're lovely, and I would love for you guys to sign up for membership on YouTube, but they are a smaller thing. They're not, they're I think it's $2.90 a month or something, and you do get bonus segments and stuff. So anyway, Kevin, thank you for the donation. Thank you for the donation, Kevin. All right. Eric Moore is saying it's pronounced Nevada. I don't know. Is it? Are you sure? It's not Nevada? Anyway. Let's get to the latest Bill Maher garbage. So Bill Maher had on Penn Jillette, and many of you probably know Penn Jillette has been very outspoken on his politics for years, but apparently he says he's kind of given up and he's not really much about politics anymore. There's some moments of politics in this, and Penn Jillette sometimes. So he's been a proud libertarian for years. I'm not sure he completely understands what that means, but on some things I totally agree with him. On other things, I think he's loony. But he had one of my favorite lines ever, which he said it to Joy Behar. He was on Joy Behar's show, and Penn Jillette's been an outspoken atheist, proud atheist, and he was on her show, and Joy Behar, in her kind of condescending tone, she looks at her card and she goes, "Now you say you've been a you're a hardcore atheist. I don't even know what that means. And she really was trying to like shove it in his face. And Ben Gillette goes, it's simple. I don't believe you believe. He's like, I don't even think you believe in the shit you say. So it was a great line. But someone asked whether Penn Jillette cut his hair. Not only did he cut his hair, he lost 100 pounds. So it doesn't look a lot like him. But he's not the one I'm here. I really want to play this to pick apart. I want to tear apart Bill Maher's garbage. Bill Maher is just, he's pro-genocide. He's basically a right-winger, but he still claims to be a Democrat. And anyway, I'll get more into that in a moment.
It's happened. I believe, and maybe this is simply getting old, and I that's a possibility. And if that's the answer, then that's the answer. But I believe that some people were talking about issues in our lifetime. And I believe that now it's become nothing but team sports.
Well, it is.
And I would watch
But this, I mean,
Lawrence O'Donnell and go, how's Trump doing? He's going to be okay. And I just can't do that. It's
yeah,
not
but
good
to
for
be
me.
fair, that's not what I'm doing.
Mhm.
That is not what I'm doing.
Right.
Well, hold on. I just want to real quick criticize what Penn Jillette said. It has a lot become team sports, but that's by design. It's not that people have stopped talking about issues. It's that when we try and talk about issues, people go, "You just got it's Trump or nothing. It's Kamala Harris or nothing." Like people just yell that at you because the two parties have gotten so similar. The Democrats' only way of winning, they can't say, "Hey, we believe all the same things as the Republicans." So their only way of winning is to say, "We are not Trump." They don't really give good examples of how they're not Trump, but we're not Trump. And so therefore they've made it all about team sports intentionally so that we aren't fighting over so that we aren't trying to get things done, so that we don't expect things to be done. It seems like your average person that votes Democrat now doesn't even expect them to get you health care. You don't even expect Democrats to go hard on big pharma. Nobody seems to expect anything of the Democrats except to not be Trump. So he's right in certain regards, but I don't think it's because. I think it's largely because of the top down. I think it's because of the choice by the ruling elite to make it that way, as opposed to like those of us who are not the ruling elite just like giving up on issues.
And the reason why my show and my career in general are doing better than ever, my book went to #1, is because I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
because I
you
am the.
I'll keep playing in a second, but that's not why his book went to #1. And if his career is doing better than ever, I don't know what his numbers are, but sure, let's say he is. The reason he's doing so well, the reason the book went to #1, etc., is because he's one of these people that people had gotten to know. They thought was somewhat left wing. They thought was that many people call him left wing, and yet now he spouts. I don't know. I'll make up a percentage. 70% right-wing talking points. It's 70% Fox News. I mean, I watched his entire 3 hours with Joe Rogan, and I'd say 80 to 90% of it, other than saying vote Biden, 80 to 90% of what he was saying was just Fox News talking points. So, and I've seen other people, some of which and don't worry, I know you think you're going to guess who I'm talking about. You're not going to guess who I'm talking about. Some of which I used to be friends with who were left-wing. They then realized that it's a lot easier on social media to get a big following and to just do very well when you were left wing or appeared left wing or claimed to be left wing, to suddenly start pushing right wing talking points, Trump talking points, Fox News talking points. The audience gets much bigger. And you're like, wow, I'm doing great. Look at me. I'm making lots of money. The clicks are through the roof. And there's a few reasons for this. One is you're not going to deal with the censorship that like I deal with by actually being anti-war or whatever. Another is that a lot of people who come from a kind of moral, caring place, they want people treated well. A lot of them end up falling for MSNBC. And so they kind of have their outlet. They have their, and I'm not saying MSNBC is right. I'm saying they've been tricked into thinking MSNBC cares about humans and wants people to be fed and cares about the environment and shit like that. So it's kind of like, for people that have that view of the world, they think they have their television. They've got, it's not just MSNBC, it's all of it's NPR, it's plenty of stuff. For a lot of right wingers, they felt for a while back a few years ago out in the wilderness, and I think some of them still do. And so they turn to YouTube channels, they turn to social media to get to get entertainment, to get coverage, to all these things. And so when someone appears to be left wing or claims to be left wing, and then they suddenly start saying, wow, Trump is sounding pretty good. He's got a point. Trump's anti-war or all this insane shit. Guess what happens? Their clicks shoot through the roof. Bill Maher's book goes to #1. The moment he says our biggest problem in the world is wokeism. The moment he says the Muslims are just a violent people. That shit does amazing. And so here he is. As he says, his career is doing great. It's not because he is a better analyst of topics. It's because he spouts right-wing garbage.
I'm not going to say the one guy. I don't monitor everybody else. But people come up to me all the time and say it to me. You are the one guy who is not playing this partisan game. You are. I get that you're center left, but you are not afraid to go after.
See, he thinks he's center left. Like, explain to me how being, hold on, I actually jotted down a list of this so I wouldn't forget all of them. Explain to me how this is center left. He's Islamophobic. He clearly hates Muslims. He supports the U.S. empire's hegemony about like 80% of the time. He's very pro-genocide in Gaza, He's very pro-capitalist. He's anti-homeless rather than, saying they should all just be given homes because we have 17 million empty homes. He's often rather supportive of the U.S. military state. He's actually, I remember one moment from years ago, he was debating us drone bombing innocent people. And he said it's fine because when the Muslims bring a dirty bomb, they're bringing it into LA port and it's going to get me. So basically, bomb all the innocent people you want was his analysis, as long as you're protecting me from those evil Muslims. Like, that was his stance. That's center left? Then Jesus, I'd hate to be in that society if that's center left. And, maybe we should hate to be in this society. But he never says anything about the U.S. being the largest prison state in the world, or, he thinks wokeism, again, is like the biggest problem on the planet, which mainly wokeism only becomes a problem, like a real problem, like an actual meaningful problem, when it's used to cover up our war crimes, our bombing of innocent people, the desecration of the world. When it's we have a black lesbian as the White House press secretary. I'm not saying she is or not. I'm just saying I'm just kind of making a joke. But once I've added this many equivocating words, it's not funny anymore. But we have a black lesbian who says it's fine to murder children. Well, that's when wokeism becomes a significant, disgusting problem. But that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the fact that he can't use, disparaging words to talk about Muslims anymore. That's what his problem. Whereas when, you name a battleship Harvey Milk, you name a battleship after an LGBT icon, and then all is well. That's wonderful. That's war crimes galore are just a beautiful thing as long as you name it after a gay person. I mean, really, if you listen to a 3-hour interview with Bill Maher, like I did with him and Joe Rogan, I don't know if I heard one left-wing talking point or idea in the entire 3 hours. Like, I don't know. I can't even think. Literally, the only thing that people think is left-wing, which is not left-wing, but they think it's left-wing, is when he said, Trump's a maniac, vote for Biden. People go, oh, he's left-wing. No. He's just supporting one war criminal over the other. What? Anyway, hope I cleared that up. I can't remember. I'm going to play a little more because I can't remember if there was more of this I wanted to play or not. But
After you, right.
You never have.
Now, you are not afraid to go after the
As
left.
the person who was on the first week and the last week of Politically Incorrect.
Is that right?
okay, then they just get into oh, you remember the old days on Politically Incorrect? It's just nothing useful there. But okay, I actually want to show some of a Trump interview. I don't think I've done that in a while. Robert signed up on Locals. Thank you. Oh, man, just did a yearly sub on Patreon. You're a hero, Robert. Thank you. Rock on, Robert. Oh, man. Did I see that right? Is your name Robert? Oh, man, I feel like such an asshole now. For some odd reason, I was making fun of Roberts earlier. It was just the first name that came into my head. It's nothing against you. And of course, Robert signs up and makes me look like a fool. Thanks a lot, Robert, for making me look like an asshole. Why did you do that? Of course it had to be Robert. No, you're awesome. Love you, Robert. And in fact, now I love all Robs. So I apologize for all my former hate against Rob. Oh yeah, okay. So so Patreon is kind of accurately showing me that we are now at 8 join members, and Locals is not updating as quickly, but we are at 12, and I'm not stopping this live stream till I get 20. Although I may pass out and hit my head. So, yes, Ratty's telling all Roberts to sign up. Okay, for those of you joining late, sorry, I'm just going to repeat this one more time, or 3 more times. For those of you joining late, this is a special fundraiser show. I'm going extra long. These are normally an hour episodes, but I am doing this live stream thing until I get 20 new members to either leecamp.net or patreon.com/leecamp. When you get to leecamp.net, scroll down to become a subscriber. Otherwise, it won't count. But it's only $6 a month, and you get both my books, Dangerous Ideas and Bullet Points and Punchlines. By the way, both these books have received rave reviews. They're comedy, they're politics. Most of the chapters, and this is good for the books, but sad for reality. Most of the chapters in these books are not actually going to age much. Like, yeah, it may say things about Obama in Bullet Points and Punchlines, or they say things about Trump. I think it came out during the Trump administration. But if you actually look at the topic, it's about how many bombs are dropping. Nothing's changed. So most of these, about the big pharma owning our medical system, and it's many chapters like that, and so they don't actually age. Sadly, I wish they did. But that is so you get both of those for free when you sign up, and you also get my comedy special, my Zoom comedy special, which is not available anywhere except if you sign up. You get that when you sign up at leecamp.net or patreon.com/leecamp. And you get extra segments regularly. I often do extra segments for the people at Locals. So hope you'll sign up. We're at 12, and I'm trying to get to 20. I'm trying to get to 20 before I pass out. So I'm gonna keep live streaming until I get to 20. And like I said at the beginning of this, if you enjoy watching the torture and you just want to see how long until I pass out, then I understand why you're not signing up. Okay. Let's go to, let's see. Let's do the Trump clip. So I wanted to do a Trump clip because I don't spend a lot of time like analyzing Trump's words because, sorry, because I think they're all meaningless. And it's just so stupid. It's like with Democrats, I feel like there's something to be clarified. Like that they don't actually stand for the things they say they're standing for. Or, with Kamala Harris, she actually does stand for one thing she said, which is she said she is not going to ban fracking. And I think she absolutely stands for that because she has proven, and that Biden has proven that they're not banning fracking. They're exporting more oil than ever before. So anyway, with the Democrats, I feel like there's something to be clarified. There's a truth to kind of dig down and get to. With Donald Trump, it's just like it's a clown show. It's like someone reading a Mad Libs. Like none of it matters. It's all nonsense. But that being said, some of it is funny, I guess. Okay, I don't know why it says life because that's Fox News beginning life, liberty, and something. Just yells life at you. But okay, let me see which parts of this I want to show you because you can never watch all these things. Okay, this is it's amazing how much Trump dodges this first question. You'll see what I mean, even though it's not a question he needs to dodge.
One entertainer after another your book is heavy with firefighters, police officers, coal miners, people who drill for oil, truckers, common people. So let me ask you this. You spent most of your life around these people. You were a developer. You were a builder, electricians, plumbers, construction workers of every kind. You created thousands and thousands of middle-class jobs with pensions, medical insurance, and so forth and so on. Why do you think your opponents get away with claiming to represent the little guy, the middle class, the blue-collar worker, when they have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with them? And you've spent your entire life around them.
Let me just analyze that question. Keywords, around them. And he hasn't even really done that. But Trump has been sued perhaps more than any American for not paying and like violating agreements with all of the people that Lunatic McGee over there just listed. Like Trump has had hundreds of lawsuits by workers who say that he stole from them, that they were not paid, wage theft, that they agreed to an amount. Like that has been his game plan for years, his entire adult life. And being a developer does not make you a man of the people. You understand what a developer is? A developer is often someone that goes in, destroys areas, builds giant things they think they can make more money from, and then goes from there. It's just an exploitative, capitalist, predatory system. And so it's not like, oh, you're a developer. You must be a good guy who cares about humans. Bull. But then he concludes it by saying, you've spent your whole life around workers. Trump, perhaps more than just about anybody, doesn't want to like touch workers, be near them. Like you'll notice he doesn't spend a lot of time shaking hands. I mean, he's also a germaphobe, but that's, separate. But he doesn't want to be around people. Even if you were to like ignore the fact that it's bullshit and say, oh, he did create a lot of jobs that he stole from, but oh, he did create a lot of jobs. Even if you were to say that, he doesn't want to be near them. He never wants to be near them. He did it over the phone. He had his underlings do it, like man and a worker. But anyway, put all that aside and imagine this question. You've just been posed this question. You're Donald Trump. It's the biggest softball question you've ever received in your life. It was 2 minutes of buildup of fawning about how you care about workers and you're a wonderful human and everything. And you're asked, why is it that they say you're not a fan of workers when you are such good friend with workers? Total softball question. Donald Trump cannot get near answering this. Doesn't say a word to answer this. And I'll get into the psychology of that in just a minute. But here's his answer.
Well, certainly, I had two opponents. I had Biden, and then he disappeared a couple of weeks ago at their insistence. And we had a debate, and the debate was a good debate. And he was 18 or 20 points down, and they went to see him, and they said, "We want you out. You're not going to win." And you started hearing those rumors, and then all of a sudden he was gone, and they gave me a new one who never.
How many times have you heard the word workers so far?
Never got a vote. In all fairness to him, I'm not a fan of his, but he had 14 million votes. He worked for a year to win. She actually started off with him, when you think. But he worked for a year to win. He won. And then they threw him out when they say, this is not a democracy. Okay, when you think about it, what is that all about? She never got a vote. But regardless, so then they gave me her, and he's a very angry man, but he's gone.
He's like an insult comic that won't get off stage. He's still insulting Biden. Biden, A, is not awake, and B, is not running for president. It's like, he's a very angry man. But this was the biggest softball question in the world. Talk about how much you care about workers. He has not said the word workers. And he never, I'll give you a spoiler alert, if I don't play the entire answer because he just rambles on, but never says a word about workers. Never even entertains a thought about workers. Which is like, it's so funny to me. And so if you understand a little something about psychology, I'm no expert, but I minored in it in college and studied it some. But he's kind of incapable of talking about something that's not about him, and is not glorifying him or insulting who he views as his opponents. Those are kind of his two real go-to topics. Now he will sometimes go off on a policy like all those dirty immigrants coming over or whatever, but in general, his mind is just stuck in how great am I and how awful are they and what's it got to do with me? And so when you ask him tell us about workers, tell us what they mean to you, tell us why it is that you're criticized when in fact you've done such a wonderful thing for workers. That was basically the question. It doesn't even compute. It doesn't even factor in. It's like another language was spoken to him. It does not. He's incapable of processing an answer that would be about work, even if it's all lies. Even if it's, oh my God, do I love workers? Oh, what I've done for workers. Oh man. It didn't even enter his brain. I don't think he knew. I don't think he processed what the question was. He just knew it wasn't about him, and it wasn't about insulting Biden, mainly. And so he didn't even notice it. It's just like, it's not even there. Of course, he did nothing for workers when he was president. You got 4 years of him as president, and he did nothing for workers, and neither is Joe Biden. Because this is not the ruling elite in the system we're in, and we need to talk about the system because that's how you get down to the actual core reality is the system we're in. Okay, you could march Joe Biden and Donald Trump off a high cliff tomorrow, and guess what? You'd have other goons sitting up there at the top. Nothing would change because it's about the systems, and the system is owned by a tiny group of incredibly wealthy individuals. A billionaire sitting there, even if he exaggerates his wealth, I think he's still a billionaire. A billionaire, and the people above him, like BlackRock and Vanguard, State Street and Blackstone and big pharma companies and big oil companies. And the system is just how much can we exploit workers without the guillotines being rolled out. And that's the whole thing. That's how the system works. When workers get something, it's usually small and it's usually a Band-Aid to try and keep capitalism limping along. It's like, and they just stick a Band-Aid on it. You know, like even the New Deal, which was some of the biggest wins for workers ever. The reason it happened is because workers had gained a lot of power in America, and America, the business elite in America were worried that America, the United States, could go the way of Russia and become like the Soviet Union. They were worried that the workers might have a lot more power, and they realized that they needed to give workers a lot of things to not end up with the guillotines. So they did that, but now they've spent decades trying to chip away at the things they gave, and there's largely no pushback. So you have both parties of the one-party system just destroying workers every chance they get. Let's check the numbers. Most of you know today is a fundraiser. I'm going as long as it takes to get 20 new members at either patreon.com or leecamp.net. And we now have 11. We have 11 new ones on Patreon. And for some reason, Locals does not like to update. Okay, so we've gotten 6. We're at 17, mofos. We're at 17, man. 3 more, and I can finally go home. 3 more. 3 more people. Just help me in this live stream. No, I'm kidding. I'm enjoying spending time with you. But okay, let me see if if there's another clip, or I want to stick with this one. Oh yeah, I'm gonna stick with this one for a bit. Okay.
And now I have Kamala. I call her Comrade Kamala because she's radical left. She's a radical left Marxist.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. For those of you who have not been watching much Fox News or Donald Trump or whatever, this is their go-to. They keep saying that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, war criminals, deported more immigrants than Trump, allowed more oil drilling than Trump, endless bombs flowing, pro-capitalist. Biden doubled the prison population. Their go-to of Fox News, Donald Trump, the Republican establishment, is that these are radical, leftist, Marxist. Radical, leftist, Marxist. Thank you, 11th hour, for the donation. Solidarity. And it's because, here's the thing, is because the Democrats have become right-wingers, and it's basically 2 right-wing parties. One of them admits they're right-wing, the other doesn't. The right-wing, the one that claims to be right-wing, the Republicans, have to come up with policies that they're different on, but they're not different on anything. They can't run around saying, oh, Kamala Harris deported more immigrants than we did, because that's their thing. Their thing is deporting immigrants. Their thing is hating immigrants. And they're like, shit, she hates them more than we do. What do we do? So instead, they have to just lie and say, oh, she's for open borders, and she's for radical environmental leftists, and she's Marxist, and they basically just have to make up that shit, because the reality that these 2 parties all believe the same thing is not good for Republicans to win. All right, let's play a little more.
And that's what she is. And she'll destroy our country. There's not going to be any fracking in Pennsylvania. And for her whole life, there was none. She fought people like I've never seen anything like it. Look at the way she fought Justice Kavanaugh, the viciousness.
Okay, so he shifts to Kavanaugh, but he said she's fought against it her whole life. Kamala Harris has never fought against fracking, not for a second. She said on the debate stage in 2019 that she was for a ban on fracking because she was trying to win a primary and she thought that would get her votes. And then she quickly shifted her stance by 2020 and has stuck with being pro-fracking, pro-oil, pro-big oil ever since. At no point has Biden or Kamala Harris done anything to stop fracking. So, but again, Trump has to pretend they have in order to have any difference between them and the Republican Party. Being pro-fracking, how is that different from Democrats and the Republican Party? And, of course, the core reality that no one else is allowed to mention, including most indie media people, for some odd reason, can't mention this. The core reality is, why do we need fracking? Why do we need endless oil production? Petrodollar. You got to have the petrodollar, man. You got to have the power of the petrodollar, and oil has to keep flowing. So, of course, they're not going to stop any oil. It's not just that big oil is powerful. It is, but the entire dollar is premised on how much oil the U.S. pumps and other countries pump. And that's also why we're trying to crush Venezuela. By the way, they just they just stole Maduro's airplane. It's like kindergarten, isn't it? You stole my truck. They just stole Maduro's airplane in order to get at him. Thank you, Lana. Lana just joined up on Patreon. You're the best, Lana. Thank you. I think so. We're at 12 new members on Patreon and 6 on locals, leecamp.net. So we're at 18. We're just missing two more members, and 2 more new members, and I get to just have a drink and just pound myself in the head. Let's see. Was there one more Trump clip I want to play? The radical left. Oh, not really. He gets to the end of it. I'll just play it. There's 30 more seconds till the end of his so-called response, I think. But
This and the violence. She's a Marxist. She's worse, much
oops. Stopped sharing the video.
higher in the scale than Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. Elizabeth Warren.
He's bringing up Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren hasn't even run for office in how long? I mean, not office. Hasn't run for president. And he's still angry at Elizabeth Warren. It's so bizarre. It's like literally his mind is just, how am I great and who do I hate?
And Bernie Sanders are not as left as she is, but she's just really out there now. She's totally changed her whole policies, everything. I mean, she's gone. They call her the greatest flip-flopper because she's gone for I'll never drill for oil to let's put a well on every street. But she won't do that. If she won, she'll never do that.
See, he has to. That's the thing, is she has flip-flopped on fracking. So he's right there, but he can't leave it at, oh, yesterday she's against fracking, now she's putting well on every street. He can't leave it there because he wants to pretend she's anti-big oil, and she is not. Literally more oil wells drilled under Biden-Harris than ever before, than under Trump. Obama bragged when he was in front of oil people. He bragged about allowing more oil drilling than ever before. And he also said they laid enough pipeline to encircle the world 3 times, which apparently is true. It's just a shit show. These people are meaningless as human beings. I mean, and for those of you joining late, you might be wondering why I'm bothering debunking Donald Trump. It's just because I spend so much time tearing apart the Democrats because it's one party. And I just wanted to remind everyone that Donald Trump is a glorious piece of shit. In case you needed reminding. I don't think you did. I do not think you did. Okay. Let's get to a few more important stories. For those of you joining late, this is a fundraiser episode. I've been going for an hour 45 so far. Whew. And I'm trying to get 20 new members at leecamp.net or patreon.com/leecamp. You can join up for $6. For $6, you could let me stop. And yes, you could cancel in a month. So you could pay $6 and never pay again if you'd like. But I'm hoping to get 20. We're at 18. And I'm hoping to get 20 new members at leecamp.net or patreon.com/leecamp. When you go to leecamp.net, in order to subscribe, you have to scroll down to become a subscriber. If you just click become a member, that will not count towards paid memberships. So thank you, Mark, for becoming a new YouTube member. Although I am not counting those towards the 20 new ones. So thank you, Mark, though. If anyone joins up at Locals, just let me know in the chat, because Locals is not updating their numbers as quickly as Patreon is. So I wouldn't necessarily know if you joined up at Locals. Let's see. Oh, wait, we're there. We did it. Patreon just updated. 14 new members of Patreon and 6 over at leecamp.net. Locals. Oh, thank God. Oh, we did it. We did it. We did it. You guys are the best. I'll bring you one more quick story, just because I don't want to rob you of this. I know this is going to shock you, but the FBI is still slow to investigate child sexual abuse after the Larry Nassar case. DOJ watchdog says, even after the notorious Larry Nassar case, a Justice Department watchdog said Thursday that the FBI continued to have failures in investigating reports of child sexual abuse. Inspector General flagged 42 cases in the past 3 years that appear to require immediate attention but didn't receive it, including one in which a reported victim continued to be abused for 15 months after the initial report. But the FBI does have the time and manpower to raid Scott Ritter's house, to raid the Uhuru 3, to put the Uhuru 3 on trial, which started today. They do have time for that. They don't have time to protect children being assaulted, even when they know for a fact that it's happening. And, you know, I'm not saying nothing, but maybe it has to do with how many of our ruling elite are involved in some of this stuff. Which certainly the sweetheart deal that was given to Epstein back in, what was it, 2008, that he was convicted of his first sexual trafficking charges. And he was given a deal where he had to appear in prison for like a few hours a day, and then he could go to his office. And I've never even heard of such a deal. I've never heard of it. No matter what kind of plea deal, I've never heard, oh, you show up to prison for a few hours, then go to your office and do some work, and then maybe come back if you feel like it. But you get weekends off. I have never heard of this. I didn't even know it was a thing. And that's what Epstein got, because Epstein was friends with some folks in both parties. And, you know, maybe the whole child sex trafficking that these people seem to be involved in, maybe they don't want the FBI looking into a lot of it. Maybe they wouldn't like that. And the latest update on Epstein recently is that Bill Clinton on his Wikipedia had a giant entry on Epstein that included 42 mentions, or 47? I can't remember if it's 42 or 47 mentions of Epstein, like several paragraphs. And that has all been purged from his Wikipedia. And you can, if you go to the Wayback Machine, you go to the Wayback website, you can still see the old entry, but most people don't do that. They just go to Wikipedia and read up. And, you know, maybe this has something to do with why the FBI is so slow to investigate child sexual abuse. Even after the Larry Nassar case, even after Epstein, FBI still taking their time on child sex abuse. Okay, last chance to sign up. Thank you all who made this fundraiser possible. And thank you for letting me wrap up. Last chance to sign up. If you go to leecamp.net or patreon.com/leecamp, you get all kinds of free shit. You get free segments. Exclusive segments. You get my 2 ebooks, Dangerous Ideas and Bullet Points and Punchlines. You also get my comedy special, Laughing All the Way Shitstorm. By the way, for any of those who signed up and if you don't receive the ebooks or the comedy special in the next 3-4 days, it probably means it's in your spam filter or something. Feel free to email me and ask for it. But a lot of times, because it includes a link, I guess, and because I'm me, it's put in a spam filter or something. So let me know if you don't receive it. And I'll be back tomorrow. Should be 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. I'll see you then. And you guys are the best. Thank you for making this fundraiser possible. Thank you for helping me get to my goal. I can't thank you enough. And keep fighting.